Sweden, land of abundant forests, breathtaking landscapes, and heritage of the Svea. The largest country in Scandinavia is also home of IKEA, ABBA, the midnight sun, and ice-cold winters. Sweden had been on my travel bucket list for quite a while, and I was excited to finally have the opportunity to see this magical Nordic country in all its beauty with my own eyes. Over the next 10 days, I would embark on a road trip and explore some of the most fascinating historical sites and nature spectacles that can only be found here. I was ready to explore the mesmerizing beauty of the Venice of the North, marvel at some of the most picturesque fairytale castles, drive through the vast Swedish woods with lots of surprise encounters with reindeer, rediscover the magic of Swedish pop music, get a glimpse of the rich naval heritage of the Vikings, enjoy the fascinating city life, cobbled streets and market halls of Gothenburg, be amazed by the gigantic rocks filled with Bronze Age stone carvings that date back thousands of years, wander through the unique UNESCO heritage village of Gammelstad, discover some of the cool art installations in Umedalen, and try the best food in an original Swedish IKEA warehouse. Sweden is filled with some of the most impressive natural landmarks and a distinct cultural heritage which I could not wait to discover. I was ready for my grand Sweden road trip. My road trip would start in Sweden's capital of Stockholm, also called the Venice of the North due to its many waterways that make up 30% of the city area. The central part of the city consists of 14 islands in Gothenburg Bay that are linked by more than 50 bridges to the Stockholm archipelago. Stockholm is a fixed point on Sweden's east coast and its waters flow out in the Baltic Sea. I started my explorations walking the cobblestone streets and ochre-colored buildings of Gammelstad, Stockholm's charming old town, where I marveled at the 13th century Stor-Yan cathedral, the Kungliga Slottet royal palace with the neat guards at the entrances, the German quarters with its narrow alleyways, and the Alfred Nobel Museum, providing great insights of the history and winners of the Nobel Prize. I observed the many ferries and sightseeing boats shuttle passengers between the islands, joined some of the 2.2 million inhabitants of the wider Stockholm metropolitan area, take the unique metro that is so famous for their artistic station designs. We discovered the sound of Sweden's biggest music export, the immortal songs of pop phenomenon ABBA in the colorful museum that is dedicated to their work, and marveled at the many artworks on display throughout the city. I strolled along the busy shopping streets that lead to Sergels Torg Square, passed directly by the impressive Parliament House that would be in most other countries cut off from pedestrian traffic, and visited the incredible Vasa Museum that showcases the only almost fully intact 17th century ship that has ever been salvaged, the 64-gun warship Vasa that sank on her maiden voyage in 1628, making this museum by far Scandinavia's most visited one. Stockholm was more than impressive and served as the perfect starting point for my road trip. I was heading westward to my first destination outside the capital, the small medieval town of Vadstena. Vadstena is located in Östergötland and is one of Sweden's most beautiful municipalities with fantastic historic buildings, a fairy-tale-like castle, beautiful nature and a world-famous monastery. The medieval monastery, which was founded in 1143 by French monks from the Cistercian order, has become one of Sweden's biggest attractions. Located at the eastern shores of Lake Vättern, Sweden's second largest lake, this town and the surrounding area have been settled for over 9,000 years when Stone Age population engaged here in both livestock and trade. I took a stroll through the town, which today features mostly architecture that dates from the 18th century onwards, but the historical roots of this place are palpable. Vadstena has been an important pilgrimage stop in the Middle Ages when travelers used to stop on their way to Nidarosdomen Cathedral in Trondheim, the second largest church in the Nordics after Uppsala Cathedral, which I was also going to visit on my trip. Since the Middle Ages, Vadstena has been an important place for the kings and nobility of the time. In the middle of the 16th century, Gustav Vasa, who was eager to build a defense facility against the Danes, an angry Småland people, had Vadstena Castle erected right at the waters of Lake Vättern. The castle even served as a not-so-humble location for his wedding party when he married Katarina Stenbock in the nearby monastery church. The king's son Magnus then settled in the castle and converted it into a Renaissance palace. The castle continued to serve the country's monarchs, and Queen Christina had one of the first opera performances in Sweden performed here. I took a stroll through the original garden from Vasa's time, which makes it one of Sweden's oldest parks, and admired the serene atmosphere of the charming romantic castle that overlooks the quiet waters of Lake Vättern. From here, sport fishermen head out to catch perch, pike, sander, and salmon fish that call this lake home. My night quarters of the day were in a beautiful rustic cabin right at the lake, just a few minutes' drive north of Vadstena, where I spent the rest of the day enjoying the soothing atmosphere of Överkalix. The next day, I got up early to continue my journey towards the far southeast of Sweden. My destination for the day was the historical town of Kalmar. The drive led me through the marvelous landscapes, rolling hills, deep forests, and lush green meadows of Småland. This part of the country is also known as the Glasriket, the Kingdom of Crystal. Glass has been made here in Småland since 1742. At the end of the 19th century, over 45 glassworks were operating here. But even now, visitors can find at least 13 glass factories and smaller glass studios scattered in the villages and towns in and around Nybro. I went to Malara's Glasbruk, where I witnessed a glass-blowing demonstration and marveled at the impressive artworks presented in their showroom. I continued my drive to the historical city of Kalmar, which dates all the way back to the 11th century. Kalmar's biggest attraction is its massive castle at the shores of the Baltic Sea, for which the foundations were laid a century later. On July 13th, 1397, Queen Margaret invited the heads of state of Sweden and Norway here to sign the Kalmar Union Treaty, which would last until 1523. This treaty would join the three kingdoms of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway in personal union under a single monarch for Scandinavia. Walking through the lush green park around the castle, I felt I was walking on history. This was where King Gustav Vasa and later his sons had organized the rebuilding of the castle into the magnificent Renaissance castle it is today. But the castle grounds also have seen their fair share of blood. In 1505, for example, King John had the mayor and the entire city council of Kalmar executed. The Kalmar War from 1611 should become the city's darkest period when the Danish marine attacked and sieged the city, followed by the Scandinavian War in the 1670s. But the fortification walls withstood countless sieges over the centuries, and the castle should never be taken by foreign forces. Today the castle houses an impressive museum that provides an excellent overview of the historic events that took place here. The next morning I embarked on a drive along Sweden's south coast to Malmö. Malmö is Sweden's third largest city after Stockholm and Gothenburg, and is located in the very southwest of the country at the eastern end of the striking Öresund Bridge, which leads to neighboring Copenhagen in Denmark. Upon arrival, I immediately embarked on a walk towards the city center, passing the beautiful St. Paul's Church, a remarkable Lutheran church that features a unique hexagonal floor plan culminating in an intricate roof design. The church is situated at the center of Kungsgatan, a tree-lined narrow park that is lined with period homes showcasing their individual facades, and that invites for a stroll. From there, I crossed the Jörgjör Canal to pay a visit to Malmö's modern art museum, which occupies a 20th century brick building boasting a striking steel facade painted in red. The museum is located just a short walk from one of Malmö's central squares, the spacious Gustav Adolfstorg. Here I found the famous griffin, a relatively small but quite unique sculpture depicting the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle. Griffin is a powerful beast from Greek mythology, symbolizing heroism. The mythical creature, with a gilded crown and an eagle beak, stands on an orb and seemingly watches over the passers-by. Right behind the square, the lush green gardens of Kungsparken caught my eye. This vast central park is the green lung of the city and invites for a walk along the meandering trails that are lined by large trees. The meadows of the park are interrupted by romantic canals and ponds, some of which can be discovered via paddle boats. At the far end of the park that leads towards the western harbour stands Malmö Castle, a 15th century fortress built by King Christian III of Denmark and one of Sweden's oldest surviving Renaissance castles. Today, the restored fortress houses the City Museum, Science and Maritime Museum and the Natural History Museum, as well as various art exhibits. I paid a visit to the upscale neighborhood of Västra, lined with oceanfront parks, cafes and restaurants, and home of the Turning Torso skyscraper, which is a 190-meter tall residential tower and one of the tallest structures in Sweden. I walked the narrow cobblestone alley of Jakob Nilsgatan with its colorful quaint houses framed by enchantingly blooming hollyhock flowers. On my way back to my hotel, I spotted the disgusting food museum, which unfortunately was closed, but seemed like the perfect destination for self-professed adventurous eaters who want to put their taste buds to a test, and numerous small cozy restaurants and cafes that likely had more amenable Swedish cuisine on offer. The next day, clouds set in and soon heavy rain followed. But this did not hinder me from continuing my journey further north to the small historical city of Helsingborg. Making use of a few moments without rain, I explored the picturesque streets of the old town, at which center lies the rich ornamented neo-Gothic town hall, with its tall clock tower, decorated facade and stained glass windows depicting important episodes in the city's history. From there, I walked over to the harbor area that provides unique perspectives of this coastal city across the Öresund Strait from Denmark, which lies just to its west. But perhaps the most remarkable landmark of Helsingborg is the medieval Stjärnan Tower. This fascinating bold building is the only remains of Helsingborg's castle, which was built under Danish rule at the beginning of the 14th century. The tower can be visited from the inside, where a spiral staircase leads all the way up to the roof terrace, where spectacular views across the cityscape and sea await. Unfortunately, the weather quickly deteriorated again, forcing me to continue my journey further up north. My final destination of the day was going to be Gothenburg, Sweden's second largest city and a spectacular place to visit, as I soon should find out. Founded in 1621 by King Gustav Adolf, Göteborg quickly established itself as a commercial hub for fishing and shipbuilding. As the birthplace of Volvo cars, it became a center for automotive innovation a few centuries later. I was ready to explore the city that just celebrated its 400th anniversary. Gothenburg is a pocket-sized metropolis, and most of its attractions are in walking distance. I started my walking tour right in the center of the old town at the Kungstorget, from where I headed straight into the newly renovated market hall, which was bustling with fresh food stalls. The air here was filled with tantalizing smells stemming from a variety of local and international cuisines. From the market, I walked over to the Gothenburg Cathedral. A fixed point in the Gothenburg skyline, this neo-Gothic Lutheran church was built with simplicity in mind. Its clear and unpretentiously plain architecture was soothing for the eyes. Dating back to the early 1800s, it is the third church standing on this place, as all earlier versions had burned down before. Other highlights of my visit included Kronhuset, the oldest secular building in Göteborg, from where small cobblestone paved streets led down to the harbor area. Here, the rich nautical history of Gothenburg is vividly on display. The Maritimam is an open-door museum right on the waters of the Götaälv River, where I was able to explore several historical marine vessels, including a destroyer and a submarine. Next to it, the impressive Gothenburg Opera House is worth a visit. I continued my explorations in the charming district Haga, which features cobblestone streets, historic wooden houses, quaint cafes, and the impressive Skansen fortress, which thrones on a small hill overlooking this part of the city. Walking through the lush green Kungsparken, the green lung of downtown Gothenburg, and strolling by the famous Avenyn Parade Avenue, I rushed to my night quarters as dark clouds signaled that heavy rain would soon start to set in again. Marstrand is one of those charming coastal islands that are not to be missed on any Sweden tour, and is difficult to get more nautically charming than the cluster of Swedish islands I witnessed the next day. Marstrand's quaint harbour exudes a lively maritime ambience, adorned by neat white houses with terracotta roofs, colourful boathouses, bustling marinas, and elegant sailboats. I stroll along the waterfront promenade, lined with charming cafes, boutique shops, and seafood restaurants offering fresh catches straight from the sea. The rhythmic clinking of sailboat masts and the salty breeze added to the island's nautical charm. Steeped in centuries-old maritime heritage, the picturesque island is renowned for its stunning scenery, cobblestone streets, and a vibrant sailing culture that still echoes through its harbours. At the heart of Marstrand stands the majestic Karlsson Fortress, a formidable citadel perched atop a rocky hill. Dating back to the 17th century, this imposing fortress offers panoramic views of the archipelago and the surrounding sea, and provides a glimpse into Sweden's military history. Marstrand exudes a captivating charm, and I could have spent much more time here at this tranquil retreat. But I was still to head to another highlight of my Sweden tour, the ancient stone carvings of Tanum. Tanum is situated at the picturesque region of Bohuslän and is renowned for its UNESCO World Heritage rock carvings. This remarkable place holds a treasure trove of prehistoric art dating back over 3,000 years, etched onto granite surfaces by early Nordic inhabitants. The iconic Tanum's head rock carvings, scattered across various sites, offer a mesmerizing glimpse into the lives and beliefs of ancient civilizations. Intricately carved depictions of ships, animals, people, and mystical symbols adorn the rocks, showcasing a fascinating blend of artistry and storytelling from a bygone era. These carvings perfectly complement the rich coastal landscape adorned with rugged cliffs, serene forests, and quiet lakes. Seeking to uncover the mysteries of the past and to get deeper insights on the unique artworks that tell stories of ancient times, I visited the Viking Museum that provided excellent background on the rock carving significance and the lives of the ancient people who created them. The next day, I got up early to tackle the long 6-hour drive to my next destination, making my way back to the eastern side of Sweden. I was heading to Uppsala, described by many as the intellectual and cultural capital of Sweden. Steeped in history and academic prestige, this charming city is renowned for its rich heritage, captivating architecture, and charming old town. At the heart of Uppsala lies its crown jewel, the iconic Uppsala cathedral. With its towering spires and Gothic grandeur, this medieval masterpiece stands as Scandinavia's largest church and offers a glimpse into the city's religious legacy. Adjacent to the cathedral, Uppsala's university, Sweden's oldest university, weaves academic excellence into the city's fabric. The university's distinguished history and contributions to knowledge and innovation are evident in its historic buildings, botanical gardens, and world-class libraries, offering a haven for scholars and students alike. From the university grounds, I headed further up the hill to Uppsala Slot, the majestic 16th century castle built by Gustav Vasa that still overlooks the city. From here, I had a great view on the beautiful gardens in front of the 18th century Lineanum. I headed back down into Uppsala's old town with its cobblestone streets and colorful buildings that exude a quaint charm and tranquil ambience. I took some rest at the bank of Fairytale river that cuts across the town before I headed onwards to Gamla Uppsala, or Old Uppsala, an ancient burial ground and archaeological site that lies a short 50-minute drive outside of the city. Here, 3 imposing royal mounds stand tall, paying homage to Sweden's pre-Viking era. The mounds are believed to house the remains of legendary kings, and their sheer presence is shrouded in the mysteries of a time when Norse mythology and sagas were born. Right next to it, the Gamla Uppsala Church, though a relatively recent addition compared to the ancient mounds, adds to the site's historical allure. Dating back to the 12th century, the church stands as a testament to the enduring spiritual significance of Gamla Uppsala and blended seamlessly with the ancient remnants that surround it. On the day of my visit, a wedding ceremony was about to take place, benefiting from the timeless allure of the place. The next morning, I took the drive up north along the eastern coast to the small town of Söderhamn. Situated at the mouth of the Iggesund river, this picturesque place delights with its small town charm, a waterfront with colorful wooden houses, local seafood restaurants, and a bustling marina. Perhaps the most striking landmark of Söderhamn is Oscarsborg, a 23-meter high observation tower on Österberget that reminded me of old castle towers. Built in 1895, the building is however not that old. From here, I had a great view over the town. But Söderhamn's architectural landscape has more delightful buildings on offer. The town hall that dates back to 1878 is built in Dutch Renaissance design and features intricate limestone decorations. From there, I crossed a small park with fountains and colorful flower beads to arrive at the bright red-colored Ulrika Eleonora Kirke, for which the foundations were laid in 1685 and which is named after the reigning queen at the time. Unfortunately, the church was closed when I was there, but the colorful gardens at the massive belfry were a feast for the eyes. I headed further north and enjoyed some quiet evening hours with a beautiful sunset at Stor-Yan lake. The tranquil atmosphere of this quiet lake was mesmerizing, and I decided to explore the scenery a bit more with my drone. I continued my journey to the nearby small village of Iggesund, where I watched the incoming evening fog engulfing the lush meadows that were framed by vast forests. The next day greeted me with lots of rain. My plan for the day was to drive further up north to Umeå, where I wanted to explore a sculpture park and go for the perhaps most Swedish food experience commonly known around the world. Umedalen Sculpture Park is situated just 5 kilometers from the town center of Umeå in the area of a former mental health hospital. In the late 1980s, a developer turned the historical hospital buildings and surrounding parks into a modern living space with kindergarten, schools and library. Aiming to change the image of mental illness that many locals associated with the place, the art project Umedalen Sculpture was created. With currently 44 artworks by prominent international and Swedish sculptors on permanent exhibition, this has become Sweden's largest art gallery. The works of art are accessible 24/7 and access is free of charge. I was truly impressed by the diversity of artistic expression, and my tour was only cut short by ever-increasing rainfall. I decided to make the best of the deteriorating weather and headed to Sweden's most iconic export, the local IKEA. It had already been my plan not to leave Sweden without at least once tasting the original cuisine of IKEA's cafeteria. Having had their food numerous times in the US, I was ready to compare to spot potential differences with the real deal. What can I say? Choices were plentiful and the dishes were affordable and tasty. To my surprise, the famous meatballs were available in a vegetarian version, and I loved the gravy, mashed potatoes, shrimp salad, and tangerlingenberry juice. The last day of my Sweden trip would take me all the way north into the vast forests of the region of Norrland. On the way, I made stop at the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Gammelstad. Located just outside of Luleå, this historical town is a living testament to medieval Nordic architecture and exemplifies the enduring cultural heritage of the region and its community life. The charming red-painted cottages, adorned with white trim, exude a nostalgic charm that echoes the town's medieval origins. At the heart of Gammelstad lies the Luleå Church, a stone-built masterpiece that dates back to the 15th century. This impressive church, surrounded by a quaint cluster of more than 400 well-preserved wooden houses, forms the essence of Gammelstad church town. The houses, known as church cottages or stabbur, were traditionally used by parishioners who lived in outlying areas and traveled to the church for religious services, creating a unique and close-knit community. I wandered through the narrow, cobble-paved lanes, and it felt like stepping back in time. I continued my journey further up north, passing vast stretches of forests, spotting the occasional reindeer crossing the street, and enjoying the increasing solitude of Norland. The sun touched the graceful interplay of water bodies, mighty rivers, small islands, and seemingly endless forests. I stopped again and again to soak in the soothing ambience as the sun slowly lowered towards the horizon, and I felt close to the heart of Sweden's northern magic. Eventually I reached the small enchanting town of Överkalix, emerging from the pristine landscapes of Norrbotten County. Nestled along the wide Kalix River, the town's charm lies in its harmonious blend of natural wonder and a rich cultural heritage. The Överkalix Church, a wooden masterpiece dating back to the 18th century, stands as a testament to the town's enduring legacy. The church, with its intricate carvings and serene ambience, provides a glimpse into the spiritual and architectural history of the region. Överkalix offers a gateway to the vast wilderness of Lapland, where dense forests, shimmering lakes, and the unspoiled beauty of the Arctic landscape beckon adventurers and nature enthusiasts alike. As I watched the sunset, I was glad to have been able to immerse myself a bit in the untouched splendor and beauty of Sweden's northern wilderness. My journey to discover Sweden had come to its glorious end, but it was also clear to me that I had just scratched the surface of this fascinating country, which has so many more magical places to explore. But this would be the story of another time.